What's up, you beautiful Redditors? Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. Welcome to the RNEWS morning show, and let's just jump into it. From r/World News. New Zealand's Deputy Prime Minister shuts down American COVID-19 denier campaign event. We've got someone who obviously got an education in America. Nicely done. What a dick. Everyone in the room is looking at him like, what the frick are you talking about? I wonder if these people lived in the 14th century, they'd ask for proof of the plague. Imager.com. How do we know that the Mongols are there? We just see hurling boulders and some guys in the distance. It could be our city trying to bankrupt us and keeping us from our crops. Mongol invasion was an inside job. 1010. Quote. Dumb nobleman goes out and gets captured by the Mongols, before being ransomed with gold equal to his weight. See, if I can survive the Mongols, so can you. Quote. I'm just wondering how he got there. Last I heard, most civilized countries won't let us in. Nah. See, that's how we deal with idiots. We don't give them a platform. We don't give them respect they think they deserve. They're dumb C-word. We treat them like dumb C-word, and hope they end up shutting the frick up. And generally they do. Guy probably went back on his YouTube and titled a video, "Watch me destroy NZ deep stater," as he refuses to debate me. Sadly, he probably moved here. I know of some Americans that live here and are very vocal in the anti-vaccine movement here in my country, so they moved here and brought the crazy with them. I'm not saying you should feed them to the sheep, but feed them to the sheep. That's cannibalism. You're watching the RNews show. From r/Politics. Eric Trump cancels event at Michigan gun shop after former employee is linked to domestic terror. Plot against governor. Why? These are your people, butthole. In February 2020 we had a young man that worked on the range who would show up for work in a lot of tactical gear. We found that a little odd. We weren't comfortable with him for a few other reasons and fired him after 3 weeks. He ended up being one of the fringe characters arrested for the Governor Whitmer kidnapping, wrote Huron Valley Guns in a Facebook post announcing the Trump campaign had changed venues for the event. The post went on to read, the governor would have had a field day against the Trump campaign. They would accuse the administration of sending his son to a facility where terrorists work and train. This could not be further from the truth. But imagine the left spin. Yes, could you imagine the spin if it turned out that this company was aware of the potential radicalization of an employee they fired and didn't warn local, state, and federal authorities? I hope that they are talking to local, state, and federal authorities about what those few other reasons for which they fired him were. I'm always amazed about how conservatives can sound temporarily rational, but by the end of the story drumstick falls in their mouth. There is a reason white supremacists are feeling validated in the Trump admin. It's because they are good. We don't want any Trump setting foot in Michigan ever again. If Trump wins, I hope Canada annexes us. As a fellow Michigander, I'd happily join Canada. You're watching the RNews show. From r/Politics. Jaime Harrison shatters Senate fundraising record for South Carolina race. Alright folks, time to redirect your South Carolina funding to other races. He's already got $57 million. That's more than enough to blanket SC. Focus on Texas, Alaska, Kansas, Montana, North Carolina, Mississippi and the 2 Georgia seats. Imagine if MJ Heger raised $57 million instead of $13 million. Georgia is super close to flipping, and we have 2 Senate seats up for grabs. Smiley face. Georgia need to vote. I just donated to Warnick. Thank you for the suggestion. It's honestly kind of a bummer. In these red states, Dems have to be absolutely perfect and need to raise an insane amount of money to win. And all the Republican has to do is be alive. Be alive. I have some bad news for you. Dead Republican brothel owner wins election in Nevada. Reuters. You're watching the RNews show. From r/News. The US should expect 20,000 more coronavirus deaths by the end of the month. Former CDC director says. Why have we just accepted this as normal? What am I supposed to do about it? Have you tried screaming into the void? Yes, daily. But did you try unplugging it and plugging it back in? Good point. I haven't rebooted the void in a little while. This didn't have to happen. What a colossal failure of leadership. Goddamn, I sure love living in a country where a global pandemic is a political opinion and not a fact. We're just getting started. I heard Bill Gates invented gravity to keep conservatives from floating to heaven. It is what it is. Patient zero. I'll probably get downvoted for this, but I feel a tug of war between 1. Thinking humans should be wiped from the planet because we frick the environment up and don't care enough to change to save entire ecosystems, and 2. Feeling empathy for the suffering of people dying from this disease. It is what it is. How America handled corona is just baffling to me. Maybe it's our leadership that played a part, but man, people just don't give a frick here. Even my close friends are busy going to the beach and Disney and the likes while I'm scared out of my mind for my parents. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/politics, Pete Buttigieg's abortion comments to Chris Wallace go viral. I trust women to draw the line. The right always makes it sound like women are out here murdering for the thrill of it. Choosing to have an abortion is an extremely difficult decision that no one wants to make. Also, it's not happening at freaking 9 months just before the baby is born because the mother decided then she didn't want it. That doesn't freaking happen. When Trump talks about the VA governor executing a baby, he is talking about a real child that was born to a loving mother. A baby with a fatal deformity that was being kept alive by machines until a decision was made to turn off the life support. Imagine that is your baby, a baby you most assuredly want and love. And you are faced with the absolute tragedy of losing a newborn. And then the president tells the entire world that the governor of Virginia executed your baby. Stop for a minute and really think about that. Think about how utterly monstrous and cruel that statement is. It's like Terry Schiavo but worse. I shouldn't know that poor woman's name. Except I do, because the religious Republicans are freaking evil. These zealots talk about late-term abortion as if there are just lines of women 8 months pregnant who are like, oh, I changed my mind now. The reality is, they want control over your most sensitive and tragic life decisions, and not only that, but there is no end to the cruelty and depravity they will joyfully inflict in furtherance of this. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/news, Johnson & Johnson pauses COVID-19 vaccine trial after unexplained illness. Anyone who knows how drug development and clinical trials work will tell you this is common and not to be alarmed. It's standard procedure and could be completely unrelated. Keep in mind these trials have tens of thousands of participants and every possible side effect, regardless how insignificant is reported. With such big patient numbers, there's bound to be participants who develop a significant illness for whatever reason. The postdoc assigned with collecting participant responses. So, any recent illness, sir? The participant: yeah, I went out drinking with my buddies in TJ and suddenly my pee is purple. Postdoc snapped pencil in a fit of rage. You joke, but I know a guy whose antiviral treatment turned his pee green. I got mad at people for pouring Gatorade down the urinal, and this dude was like, that's a side effect of me meds. Doctors are confused too. I'm okay though. He then compared himself to the Hulk. Carpets were swirling all night. Did you ingest any other substances? No substances, just my butt's shrooms. Quote. Remember thalidomide in the 1950s, 60s? The head of the FDA in the US did not approve the drug. Despite heavy political and corporate pressure, Canada, Australia, and much of Europe approved it and hundreds of babies were born with serious disabilities. I appreciate the honesty. And that's where we're going to end today's show. But if you like what you saw, leave a like, and if you want to see more of the RNEWS show, hit that subscribe button. As always, this has been the RNEWS show and I'll see you tomorrow.